Time to talk to lawyer Bolanle Olugbani for more on this new development from the PDP. Thank you for joining us on the news tonight. Help us understand this. How can courts of coordinate jurisdiction issue decisions that appear to conflict on the same subject matter? Legally, shouldn't one court at least decline jurisdiction once it's aware another court of equal standing is already handling the case?
Well, the situation is quite unfortunate because what we have is that the Constitution allows the Federal High Court to adjudicate over matters involving the federal government and its agencies. One of the agencies that has to do with this political situation is the INEC. You know, it's a agency or parastatal, even though it's independent, it's funded by government. Federal High Court has jurisdiction over it. At the same time, matters that involve political parties and their members can also be adjudicated upon by the State High Court, so that if a party member in Oyo State, for instance, has issues or has facts that give rise to a cause of action, he can also file a case, before the State High Court. In the case of the State High Court, the INEC, successfully argued that the State High Court had no jurisdiction, to make it a party in the suit involving members of the party and the convention, on the issue of the convention. So the courts, did not join them in that litigation. But at the Federal High Court, the INEC was a party, and the Federal High Court judges, restrained INEC from giving any form of supervision or validity to the Oyo State Convention.
Okay.
But notwithstanding that, they went ahead with the convention because they had also canvassed some issues before the State High Court in Oyo State, and that said, they could go ahead with the convention. So, well, it's unfortunate that you have, virtually the same parties before two different courts, state and federal, on the same subject matter, giving conflicting decisions.
And that has always been a bone of contention. Critics argue that it's become almost predictable. One faction gets a favorable order in Abuja, another secures validation in Ibadan. How convenient, how troubling is this pattern? Many say it raises serious concerns about forum shopping and judicial coordination in politically sensitive cases.
Well, it's unfortunate because we don't seem to have gotten a hang of it, or the judicial authorities, don't seem to have provide a final solution to the matter. Online registration of rulings and judgments or pending suits before courts of coordinate jurisdiction should be as a matter of law, so that when there's ongoing litigation or in courts of coordinate jurisdiction, they should be made aware, by this type of online, real-time registration of, the litigation going on and the parties involved, and also the outcome, such as rulings and judgments, should be a matter of real-time information, to the courts of coordinate jurisdiction and their heads. Maybe that way, the courts can decline jurisdiction and actually, avoid this type of confusing situation that seems to raise issues or controversies about the administration of justice in the country.
But it's a race against time now with the new INEC timetable. Parties have barely a month to come up with their e-registration, primary sometime in April. Earlier in the news tonight, we're reporting a faction of the PDP National Caretaker Committee describing this High Court ruling as an academic exercise. From a constitutional and electoral law standpoint, which court decision now carries operational weight? Which one would INEC be paying attention to?
I think that the judicial process has not been exhausted, and at this point in time, where there's the possibility that appeals will ensue, where parties, depending on which court favored who, will seek to stay proceedings, stay execution of orders or judgments, and proceed on appeal. I think that to determine which ruling or judgment of whether the state high court in Oyo or the federal high court in Abuja, or of what to obey, will still be at the point where the appeal is determined. And of course, the appellate courts, will also be mindful of the time frame, the time constraint provided by law in determining which of those conventions or those matters they will uphold or dismiss. So it's a race against time. We have not seen the end of it yet.
All eyes on the court if the PDP will field a credible candidate ahead of 2027. Bolanle Lugbani, a legal practitioner, thank you for talking to us.